This video will hopefully give you a confidence boost for answering those dreaded 6 markers in your science exams. So these top 10 tips, hopefully some of you might know, some of you might remember, and some might be new to you. But it's really important to remember that these 6 mark questions are not there to catch you out. In actual fact, you don't need to write a lot to gain 6 marks. The idea is that you answer, with pure content there rather than waffle. So the first thing you want to do, definitely, is underline key aspects of the question. That's really important. So we underline those key aspects of the question, whether that's a command word, that tells you what to do, like compare and contrast or explain or describe. Right, so that's what we're working towards. And remember that we can write in bullet points. In actual fact, this is recommended to write in bullet points. So make sure that we do this. And you want to aim for around about 6 bullet points, if you can, to be safe, to be sure. So 4 to 6 bullet points. Aim for 6, at least do 4. And hopefully the content within them, you'll be able to gain those 6 marks available. Remember that you can draw and annotate diagrams, especially when it comes to the more practical based questions, but just make sure they are annotated and you explain around them. Just having a few shapes on a page won't necessarily pick you up a mark. And linked to what we've just said so far, what's really important is that we don't waffle. When we waffle, we can contradict ourselves. When we contradict ourselves, we don't gain a mark. Okay, so we want to do the best that we can. So writing in bullet points should hopefully stop that. And we can put information in tables with correct headings. So that's also well worth thinking about. But again, making sure the headings are correct, and if it's a table there, make sure you've got some units. And be prepared to explain what those tables are and what they mean. Now, some 6 mark questions are based around an investigation and a practical, potentially a required practical. So from this, we can remember that when we've got to write this is that we list any equipment that we're going to be using. And when we do this, we want to think measurements. And then it's the correct scientific language here when we think measurements. So it's like volume of water, volume of acid. Make sure you put that down. That is going to be key. Just putting acid in a beaker won't get you a mark, but putting 20 centimetres cubed of hydrochloric acid in would get you a mark. So there's a difference there, is detail and scientific measurements using scientific language. And then think about your variables. Your independent, your dependent, and your control variables. So your independent variable is what you change. And that potentially is what's going to go on the x-axis of your graph. What you're going to measure and record, that's your dependent variable. It's dependent on the independent variable. And then we've got your control variable. So what we're going to control. And think, why are we going to control it? And if it asks why we're going to control it, don't say fair test. All right, so fair test, definitely not. So those that write fair test will not get that mark understanding at GCSE. We control the variable, so we know that it's our independent variable that is making our results count. So it's our independent variable that is affecting our results, and we can be certain of that. That's why we control everything. And then, what equation are we going to be using? Write the equation out in full. That's going to be important. Yeah, that's going to be a mark. If it's an investigation, don't forget, you want to repeat it and find the mean. You do that all the time. So we repeat it to find the mean. That increases the reliability, right, because we can find those outliers. And lastly, about plotting a graph. And don't forget what's going to be on your axes and what would be your units. If you follow this, you'll be able to get the higher level of demand, so level 3 answer in a 6 mark question. But to do it properly, have plenty of practice at these. There's plenty on websites like Science and Maths Tutor. I'm sure your teachers would have given you some. There's plenty available for you. Have a go and look at the mark schemes and have a look at those secret examiner reports. Again, they can be downloaded from your exam board websites. They're really, really important. But practice makes perfect. Good luck.